I remember what I was wearing the first time someone told me I saved their life. I was wearing my favorite jeans. They were kind of ripped in the middle and they were unwashed, as favorite jeans are often want to be. And my military buddy had come home to visit me, like during shore leave. This was a crisp autumn day in Tennessee, the kind of day where the leaves started to change those brilliant oranges and yellows and reds. And after about 6 or 7 beers, we were just sitting on the back porch, and a natural lull in conversation happened. We were enjoying the silence, listening to the mating calls of the crickets. And he said to me, "Kevin, I never told you, but you saved my life about a year ago." And that shocked me because I was thinking back and there was nothing profound that I remember doing or saying. And I can remember just about every interaction that I've had with him. And so I asked, and he was like, it's not what something that you said or did. You were just there to listen." Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Kevin Ringstad, and I'm a grief counselor for pet loss. And since that time, I've probably heard that from at least 5 or 6 different people, that they would not be here today if they hadn't seen me or met me. And I've discovered I have a unique ability to listen to people, to just be there with them, to witness what they're going through. And in this time that we have right now, where everything is going on, it's even more important, because normal grief, let's talk about normal grief and everything that we need to get and do during normal grief. Because when you have a loss in your life, and say your parents or your spouse, or God forbid your child dies, and everyone that everyone who knew them, come together, and you get to have a funeral, you get to have a memorial, you get to laugh and cry and reminisce together and be supported by your community, by your support structures. But you don't have that when you lose a pet. In addition to that, when you lose a pet, you have to be you need to be validated, because so many people just don't understand why it is that pet loss hurts so much. It's that bond, that intimacy that we have with them. And if you've never had a pet, it's very hard for you to understand that kind of thing. It's a very non-trivial loss. This is even more profound now, because there's 144 million people right now who are sheltering in place with their pets. Now, when you lose, yeah, like we see all the pets around us here, and it's a very fluid situation, because when you're living alone, you don't have any family, you don't have any friends, that's normally hard. Grieving in normal times is hard. It's normally isolating. But when you're isolated and you're grieving, that's a recipe for disaster. Last week, I was practicing this speech and patting myself on the back, giving some well-earned pats for all the people that I have helped, when I got an email that said one of my members had tried to kill herself last night. Fortunately, her husband came home, found her, and took the appropriate action to save her life, and she's okay. But it shocked me because I didn't see it coming. And I'd even talked to her a few days ago, and it seemed to be okay. And I was going over and over again in my head, things that I could have done. What should I have said? Something else? Should I have done something else? And then I stopped and I thought about what I can do. What can I do right now? And what I can do now is run my mouth. So I thought today I would talk to you about the 3 things you need to do for suicide. If someone in your life, a friend and family member, is going through grief, ask them some questions. They have to have the spoken desire to do harm, the means to do it, and a plan to carry it out. The spoken desire, the means to do it, and a plan to carry it out. Let's start with the spoken desire. Ask them. If they're in a risk category, ask them, are you suicidal? Are you thinking about harming yourself? It's not a weird question to ask. It's a lot more weird to stand there at a funeral knowing you could have asked that question and didn't. 2, the means to do it. Have you thought about how you would do it? Again, that's not a weird question to ask, because they're either going to tell you, yes, I've thought about with a gun or sleeping pillows or, whatever, or they won't. And number 3, the plan to do it. This little guy, number 3, is the hardest one. It's the biggest red flag, because if they have a plan, you need to act right now, right then. My member had the spoken desire to do harm, and I hear that from a lot of people. A lot of my clients come in with thoughts of suicide because grief is so profound and it's so isolating, and there's no one to talk to, and they're just sitting alone in their house by themselves, grieving deeply. And she had a plan, or the means to do it, but she didn't have a plan, and I thought that was okay, but it wasn't. In this time, you may have someone in your life who is suffering, who is going through something profound like this. And if you do, I would encourage you to ask those 3 questions: the spoken desire to do harm, the means to do it, and the plan to carry it out. Because if you don't, they may permanently wind up under the sea.